let's talk about fear. I often talk about overcoming fear, but today I want to talk about getting curious about your fear and where it comes from, why it is there. We all have different things that scare us, and there are reasons for these things. And the better you dig, the better you understand and start digging a little bit deeper into and getting curious about why you have the fears that you do, the better you're going to be able to see how these fears may be holding you back in other areas in your life. And then awareness is what creates change. So just by becoming aware, you don't have to put a lot of pressure on yourself to make instant change, but just by becoming aware of where your fears are holding you back in certain areas in your life, you will naturally start to create change. So I will give you an example. I will be brave and share my 2 fears. I'm a pretty fearless person, but just like everybody else, I'm fearless in some areas, and guess what? Those areas in my life continue to improve and are going well. But then, I've got, just like everybody else, other areas that I want to work on. And if I'm being honest, I'm leading with fear a lot of the time in those areas. So I'm conscious of this, I'm aware, and this is helping me to create change. But anyhow, my 2 biggest fears are fear of falling down. And I mean literally falling down. Riding a bike was terrifying for me as a kid. Well, learning how. Once I learned how, I was fine. But then as an adult, I fell again. And then I was like, I'm just never riding a bike again. I maybe will if somebody wants me to at some point, but it's not really holding me back I don't need to ride a bike. Okay. My second fear that's pretty big is fear of going to the doctor, because I don't like any invasive procedures. I've had a lot of panic attacks at the doctor when I was younger, where I would literally faint, and that's a very uncomfortable feeling, that feeling of losing consciousness. It's really scary. Okay, so where do these fears come from? Well, first, real quick, okay, so the bike thing, that's not really holding me back. The doctor thing, that's not really holding me back. I'm just not going to be one for elective surgeries. And I just, take some deep breaths and make sure I'm feeling good when I have to get my blood drawn. It's gotten much better. But where else in my life are these fears holding me back? So in order for me to figure that out, I want to get curious about these fears and where they come from. Why do I have them? Because not everybody's afraid of the doctor. Not everybody is afraid to ride a bike. But why am I? When it comes to riding a bike, the reason I don't like it is because I want my feet on the ground. Now, and I like running, walking, running. Now, why do I want my feet on the ground? Control. If I'm on a bike or rollerblading or skiing, oh my God, you can see I already got scared even just thinking about skiing. Lack of control. Now, where else in my life might this hold me back? I'm not going to be somebody's ski partner. No problem. That's not causing me any challenges right now. But if I always have the need to control, I'm limiting opportunities. If I have the need to control a conversation because it might make me feel uncomfortable, for example, I used to deal with this a lot. I kept myself alone and, just blocking off a lot of conversations and connections because of that need for control. Now, where does this need for control come from? Well, as a kid, I had a pretty tough childhood. Others, I'm sure, had way more different kinds of challenging childhoods than I. So I don't mean to say, I had the worst childhood, but it wasn't great. And one of the reasons why is that my boundaries were consistently crossed. I was basically taught I was not allowed to have boundaries. And this is very unhealthy to grow up in that type of environment. So once I got older, I had this fierce need for independence so that I could have some control. Okay, so it can be great in a lot of ways. I'm independent. I can take care of myself great. I've created a life that I like, that is going well in a lot of ways. But if I have to control other things in my life, I'm limiting myself. And just by getting curious and becoming aware, then I can start to relinquish some of that control and not miss out on opportunities and connections with great people. Okay, so that, and then the doctor thing. Now, where does this come from? This also comes from boundaries being crossed. So I challenge you to think about the things that you deeply fear, and then no judgment. It's okay. We all have fears. Get curious about why they are there. And then take it a step further, get curious about what areas in your life are these fears holding you back. And then that awareness will help you start to create change. This is helping me, so I wanted to hop on and share in case it helps somebody else out there. If you like the video, I invite you to like and subscribe so that you can stay updated when I send out my next video, and I'll see you soon.